He calls both of us. He said, listen, I love both of y'all. Obviously, I've been fucking with both of y'all. So I want to get married, and I know I love y'all. So he was like, whoever gets here first, that's who I'm gonna marry. She starts beating on the door, yelling his name. Open the door, open the door, open the door. I guess she was using people's phone to call me from different numbers. And so one time I answered and I was like, what, mama? And it wasn't my mama, y'all. It was a bitch on the phone who said, hey, I was supposed to meet my BD. She said his name. And he was supposed to give me $600 for a smortion. So since y'all married now, she was like, since you want to be his wife, since you got to have a title, since you want to be it. He was like, man, we had this bachelor party. I'm thinking I'm finna really get me a bunch of pussy. I couldn't even fuck these bitches on their period. That's what he told me, y'all.
Again, this is the dealing with a man that seemed like a deadbeat. Don't seem like he's worth much of anything, worth the ground he walking on. Welcome back to another episode of Clapped Out Conversations. I'm your host, Fahim, and today we got some more TikTok content. Part 1, my baby daddy called me and his other baby mother and said whoever makes it to my house first is who I'm gonna marry. Lord have mercy. Brother out here taking both of them same time. Lord have mercy. All right. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. I'm not gonna waste your time. Let's go ahead and get into it.
I know y'all been waiting on me. I'm sorry. Life has been lifing. Kids have been kidsing. Work has been working. Business has been businessing. But I'm here. Full 10-minute video on what happened. I honestly didn't think y'all would want to hear it like that. And another thing, I haven't had the time. So I tried to give you guys bits and pieces, but y'all are pissed at those bits and pieces. So here is the official part 1 of my baby daddy called me, and he called his other baby mama, and he said whoever gets here first is who I'm gonna marry. All right, let's get into it. So I already gave y'all the backstory about how, how old I was when I met him, how the other baby mama is my cousin. And we're going to get into all that kind of stuff later, too, because y'all did tell me that y'all wanted to hear about that. But, so the date in question was January 26, 2011. A Wednesday, what I thought was going to be a typical Wednesday. He did call both of us. And, my son was born in 2009. This incident that I'm talking about happened in 2011. So imagine from 2009 until 2011, imagine the whole energy of what's been going on, especially between me and her, between her and him, between me and him, and all this other kind of stuff. We'll get into him denying the child and making me go in the snow and take a DNA test, only for the DNA test to come out that he was the father. We'll get into it. Y'all, it's so much to get into. But the day in question is January 26, 2011, right? So he calls both of us. I know that I end up hanging up the phone. Apparently she stays on the phone. And with her staying on the phone, I don't know how long she stood on the phone, because when he called us, he said, listen, I love both of y'all. Obviously, I've been fucking with both of y'all. So I want to get married, and I know I love y'all. So what's up? He was like, whoever gets here first is who I'll know, really loves me. Whoever gets here first, that's who I'm going to marry. So it immediately caught me off guard, like, what? But y'all, I was so green back then. What I do? I didn't hang up on him and say, oh, I'm not doing it. You got me messed up. I hung up on him and I went and packed up me and my son clothes like a goofy. That's what I did. So I was living at home with my family at the time, and I come from a super duper strict background, super strict family. They would never go for nothing like that. Like if I'm in my 30s now, and if I was staying at home, I still wouldn't be able to have male company. They ain't going for that. And I'm grateful for the way that they raised me. Now, I didn't strayed, but I'm grateful. So, on this day, after he called and after I hung up, I was like, oh, I'm packing, I'm on my way, because this is somebody that, and like I said, this is another part of the story that we can get into, how we how he found me when I was 18, 19. We can get into all of that later. But yeah, so I was staying at home, and so packed up my stuff, and I just, in a rush, I'm just packing up everything. So I knew I was going to be leaving some stuff. I just didn't know what I was leaving, and I was really, really hoping that I wouldn't mistakenly leave anything of Cam's. That's my son. So when I'm headed to him, and you know, like when you're driving and you're getting ready to go somewhere, I'm just kind of doing like a little 1-2 and just kind of checking around and seeing if I got everything. And one of the bags that I thought I had grabbed that had Cam's clothes, well, some of his clothes and like wipes and diapers in, because Cam was 1. He would have been 2 that March. I was like, I don't really see that bag, but the way I had left out of the house without telling my family anything, I knew I couldn't go back and say, oh yeah, y'all, hey, yeah, you know, I'm just packing up our stuff to, I don't even know what I was packing for. He didn't say anything like the person moving in or anything like that. I guess in my mind, I'm thinking marriage. I was young, so I'm guessing in my mind, I'm thinking marriage, and I'm thinking like, okay, that's what's going to happen. So, I call him when I'm on my way, right? So I call him and I say, hey, I'm on my way. I don't think I grabbed XYZ that I needed for Cam, which was like diapers, wipes, little stuff like that. I don't think I grabbed everything. So could you grab it? Because, you know, I'm not going to have time. And it was cold. I had grabbed Cam a coat, and he wasn't just properly dressed, because I just assumed I would get him dressed whenever I got to the BD house or whatever. So he was like, you ain't on your way. I believe it when I see it. And I said, no, I'm really on my way. I'm really headed that way. I'm really headed to you. And he was like, nah, you just like her, XYZ. She talking about she love me, but she want a big wedding and all this other kind of stuff. That ain't love. Like I said, whoever loved me is who will get here first. If you say you on your way, I believe it when I see it. I said, okay, well, you believe me when I get there. But I also am telling you that these are the things that he needs, because I left those things. And I probably lived about an hour and 5 to 10 minutes away from where he lived, and she probably lived around like 30 to 40 minutes. So I guess when I was on my way, he must have called one of his friends or his cousins or something to go and get the stuff that I had told him that Cam needed. The primary thing being diapers, pull-ups, whatever. And so, you know, I made it there. He was shocked and was like, oh, okay, you know, whatever, talk this shit or whatever. And so, like I said, I guess he had already told his friend or whoever he told to get him. I don't know who got the diapers, but that he was going to need them. So I guess they had went to the store when I had called him, because they came after I got there. Now, I don't know how long after it was that they came to bring the diapers, because I went in, started getting ready, started getting Cam ready, and then somebody started beating at the door. So she starts beating down the door. We found out it's her. She calling his name. For the sake of this story, and because he already done called me and said he was going to cut my son's phone off because of me telling the story, which I don't give a fuck. But we just going to call him John Doe, right? So she's beating on the door, screaming his name. I don't even have to use the name, because I don't even want to give y'all a alias or nothing like that. But she starts beating on the door, yelling his name. Open the door. Like, this goes on, y'all, for a very long time. I did, when I was going back and I was looking at the things that y'all were saying, I did see that someone asked, why didn't he open the door and talk to her? I probably wouldn't have opened the door either, the way that she was beating on the door. Like, I immediately knew that probably had he went out there, it wouldn't have been pretty. But probably should have went ahead and opened it anyways, and would have prepared me for a year down the road when he got beat up by a bitch anyways that he had been dealing with, that was married from Texas. We'll get into that too. So she's beating. It goes on for a long time, you guys. I know in the first video I probably said it went on for like an hour or whatever. It could have went on longer than that, Because when you're in the moment, it seems longer. But now looking back, I honestly don't know how long it was that she beat on the door. I just know that after a while, because I got there in the morning time. I want to say I probably got there, it was 13 years ago. I probably got there between 8:30 and 10. Because he called us early. He definitely called us early. And I was just really just getting ready and minding my business while she was out there beating on the door. He didn't let her in, and she eventually left. And when she left, he kind of like did a peek around, and then he even, which what I didn't saw in the first video, he even had somebody kind of like circle the parking lot to see if she was still out there, and they said that they didn't see her. So we proceeded to, finish getting ready to go to the courthouse. We're going outside, y'all. I think I had found like one diaper. He may have had a diaper or something like that. And we go outside, and it's like a cotton. It's just, the parking lot is just covered in like ripped diapers. And you guys know the material that's on the inside of the diaper. It was everywhere. Everything that was purchased in that bag was damaged and was all over the parking lot. Like, it was just like something I had never seen, just covered in white. It was just, so yeah, stuff was everywhere outside. But we did realize that she was gone, and we went ahead and went on to the courthouse. She was blowing his phone up and blowing his phone up when we were on the way there, when we were there. Yeah. So we get there to the courthouse. Yeah, I remember what I wore. I wore a white dress from Maurice's. It was like a short A-line dress, lace up here. He had on a white button-down polo. Cam had on something white with some jeans. And the reason why I don't remember exactly what Cam had on is because in the mix of everything that was going on and I had left stuff, Cam had to have something brought from wherever the diapers were. So he had on like a plain, like, like one of those Geronimo shirts you can probably buy at Walmart, like a plain white long sleeve on his coat and stuff like that. So that's how that went. Y'all, I should have turned around and went back to his vehicle and said hell no, because when we got there, the first thing he did is complain about it being $83. The second thing he did is complain about it being in the newspaper. And he just kept going on and on and on. Like, literally, it was such a terrible day. You would think that, I don't even know what we would have been celebrating, because who's celebrating? What did I really win? Anyways, so after we got, I hate to say after we got married, but after we had the ceremony or whatever and yada, 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 we went to eat at Colton's. He acted up, but he fooled around and got drunk in Colton's and wasted ketchup on his polo shirt. And he's an old nigga. You know what I'm saying? He's you got Y ends, he's an O end. So everything be creased and starched. Cause you got everything be creased and starched. No shade, whatever. So he was creased down, starched down, and he wasted ketchup cut up. So we ended up leaving there, and we go back to his condo, and I'm thinking we finna be in matrimonial bliss. No.
Before she goes on about how when she got back to the condo, it wasn't all what she thought it would be, don't y'all think it's kind of crazy how people just get married like that? Oh, every time I think of marriage, I think of a big ceremony. I think of everybody being there. I'm thinking of a huge celebration. But in fact, you really can just go up to the courthouse with your wife and just get married. Nobody else even has to be there. You could just do it kind of, to my knowledge, whenever you want to. I just think that's kind of, it's cool. It's interesting. It's just not something I'm used to.
So this happens on a Wednesday, right? I don't remember how I ended up going back home to get my stuff because I had just left. My family was blowing me up at the time, and I remember I told y'all they were super strict. So they had been blowing me up, and I guess I had kind of made them think that, you know, I was just moving, and I didn't mention him or anything like that. I'll tell y'all in a little bit how my family found out. So, sorry, y'all, I'm working too. I had a brain fart. So on that day, I'm expecting matrimonial bliss or whatever. He had a lady who would come and clean and do laundry and stuff like that. So I'm thinking I'm really just going to be living the life, which I already had been living a life because, I mean, he took really good care of me. I can't lie. Like, from the time that we got together, he just took really good care of me. I didn't have a want or care in the world. Now, I did still have a job and stuff like that, but some days he would pay me and to not go and just love on me and spoil me and stuff like that. It wasn't a money thing though, so let me just say that. So then the city starts getting hot. I'm not explaining that. If you know, you know. The city started getting hot for him. So he decided that it would be best if he left. This is on a Wednesday. That Thursday night, he left and went to Dallas. And Dallas probably was about 4.5, 5 hours. So it wasn't too far of a drive or anything like that. So it's not something that was going to take him a super long time to get to. He got to Dallas. He left late Thursday night. So he got to Dallas probably 4 o'clock in the morning and called me and said, you know, he was going to get settled and do everything he needed to do or whatever, and that he was going to get some rest, and then I would talk to him later. No problem. Y'all, it's so much stuff that had already happened and so much stuff that he had already done. And I was young, so all the stuff that he used to do, I didn't understand, and I used to cry about it, and I used to be so frustrated and so mad. And the madder I got, or the more I cried, or the more I was upset at the things that he was doing, it felt like the less I had of him. You know what I'm saying? So I had gotten to the point where I was like, okay, he's telling me he gonna call me back. I ain't gonna call, I ain't gonna text, I ain't gonna do nothing. I'm gonna just let that happen. I'm gonna just try to play the cool role. Y'all, Friday night, late. I didn't hear from him until Friday night, late Friday night. So late Friday night, he called me and he said, I met a tripper. Okay, I'm gonna let y'all fill it in because I don't want to say exactly the answer. I met a tripper. I love her. I'm never coming back. So I said, you met her before you went? That's why you went? Or you met her, you know, whatever? He was like, I met her a few hours ago and oh my gosh, I'm in love. I'm never coming back. I said, okay. Mortgage $2,200, you still gonna pay that? You know? And he was just like, yeah, I'm gonna make sure you and Cam straight, but I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back. Oh my gosh. And I was like, wow, you telling me this? Okay. Cool. So that next day he calls. This is Friday night when he calls me, tells me this. The next day he calls me. He says, hey, send me a picture of you and Cam. So I sent him a picture of me and Cam. And when he said, send me a picture of you and Cam, he hung up the phone. We hung up. And I was, you know, gave him a little riff-raff about it. I was like, why you want a picture of me and Cam, whatever. Because I'm already knowing the night before you called me and you said you met a tripper, you was never coming back. So why you need a picture of me and Cam? What you own? You know, that's initially what I thought. What you own? What you own? So Saturday during the day, I ended up sending the picture. He calls me Saturday night and said, oh my gosh, my family's so beautiful. I'm an idiot. I'm on my way.
What kind of men do y'all sisters deal with, man? Like, why would you even deal with a dude that is going to abandon his family like that and even be dealing with strippers? Come on now, man.
I said, what? He was like, yeah, I'm on my way. I'm on my you sent me that picture? My family beautiful. I'm on my way. Sure enough, he made it. It wasn't 4 hours, so it was like Sunday when he made it. I don't know when he left. Sure, he went back and was with the stripper or whatever. I don't know. But that's when I saw him on Sunday. So, you know, we have that conversation. He telling me, you know, it happened and yada, 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 and yada, yada, yada. I'm really just like confused on what I do here in this situation. So a piece that's missing from this story is he had a best friend that had a baby with another one of my cousins who kind of was always like a big brother or a big cousin to me. He was a big brother or a big cousin to me until he tried to sabotage my marriage by hunching on me. But that's a whole different story. R.I.P. to him. He's passed away. That's a whole different story. So, you know, all this going on, I'm trying to just really find out, like, you really was finna just walk away because you met somebody and, you know, she tickled your fancy that much to where you was like, I'm never coming back. Knowing all the responsibility you have here, not just me and the kid you have with me, but the other kids you have, like, you was just prepared to just be like, F it and be done. And he was just like, oh, I was, and I didn't really talk to him a lot that weekend. So I'm like, I know for a fact he probably spent the entire weekend with her. And in my mind, I'm knowing how fertile he is. I'm thinking she probably pregnant too. So that's that, y'all. I don't know where y'all want me to transition to next. I don't know if you guys are wanting to hear about the beef over the years. I don't know if you guys are wanting to hear about, when I was stranded, because he had sent me and my friends to go out and somebody stole my keys when I was out. So I had to call him, but he was having a bachelorette party. I'm going to go ahead and transition to that story. I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all that story. So stay tuned because all of this is part of the main story. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that story too because I'm going to just keep going places. Y'all asked for a 39-part series of what has happened in this situation. And damn it, I'm going to deliver. Okay? Okay. Y'all, back in the day, I'm going to tell y'all how my family found out. I forgot about that. I don't know what kind of order we going to be in. We just going to talk, okay? We on FaceTime at this point. So I was working for an authorized retailer for AT&T in the city that the other baby mom lived in. You know, when I told you she lived about 30 to 35, 40 minutes away from him, and I was about an hour and 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, so the city that she lived in is the city that I was working in. And so, I don't know if he was at my job or if my mom was at my job. No, my mom was at my job. I remember now. My mom was at my job. And she came to visit me because where my family lived at was about 35 minutes from where I worked. Because remember I told y'all in the beginning, it was like an hour, 5 hours, 10 minutes from... You know, so she came to visit me, and it had always been like a energy between my family and him. One, just so much. And two, because he really didn't even have any type of energy like when it came to the baby. Like I had the baby in his city. So we would drive an hour and 5, an hour and 10 minutes for those appointments. And then, you know, at the end of the pregnancy, the appointments are more frequent. So once a week, you know, whatever, my granddad would drive me and my grandparents would go to those appointments. After I had the baby, I ended up getting him circumcised like a week later. For any of you people who are against circumcision, mine gonna get cut. All right. So when I was, after I had the baby, my granny wasn't coming to those appointments. So my granddad would take me to those appointments and would then, because I was so thirsty to make sure my BD was active with the baby and seeing the baby and stuff like that. I was so thirsty. I would have my granddad drive me to him so that he could see the baby for a second. I was so thirsty, and I recognize the level of my thirst now for him to be involved and for him to Yeah. Because remind you, this is all before the marriage, okay? Before the marriage. So he didn't go to appointments. He didn't do anything. My granddad, like I said, every time I had an appointment with my granddad, and I strategically kept the doctor even in the city where he lived. That's just how thirsty I was, y'all, for that. And now I look back and I'm just like, oh, girl, oh my gosh, like, y'all know we have all been through some things, and I'm not embarrassed about what I went through, and I'm going to keep telling y'all what I went through. He's upset that I'm telling y'all what I went through. I don't have any kind of contact with him now. But we done had contact and some more stuff over the years, and like, I know she probably sent him my videos because she dislikes me. And that's okay. I've had conversations with her. We've had conversations. At one point in time, she pretty much told me that her kids were better than mine and that they deserved for him. She didn't want her kids having anything to do with mine. Our kids were going to the same church, staring at each other and knowing that they're siblings and not having any type of interaction with her. And that's just been like the thing in our community. So it wasn't until last year or maybe 2 years ago. Hopefully my sister watched this and she can tell me if it was last year or 2 years ago, but I want to say last year. I'm going to just say last year. It wasn't until last year that she was, she kind of, no, I think it was 2 years ago. Either way, 1 or 2 years ago, I thought her and I were getting to a place to where our kids could be siblings and we could be cordial and stuff like that, but I'm not going to speak illy about her, but I feel how I feel regarding her, regarding the situation, everything. I mean, she was volunteering for our kids to take pictures, and they did, and all kind of stuff. So I'm thinking, because my son is 15 now, and her kids are older than him. I'm not bringing them into this. They're innocent. I'm just talking about, the situation or whatever. So I was the oldest sibling growing up. I longed for an older sibling growing up. I do have an older sibling, but I'm talking about that lived in the house with me and that I grew up with. But she never would allow that to happen. Like, she would, after everything hit the fan, of course he was denying stuff and whatever. After he married me, he couldn't deny that we had a baby together anymore. But in the beginning, like, that's all he was doing. I'm going to get back to that, but let me circle back to when my mom found out. So my mom had came to my job. I work for an authorized retailer, AT&T, and we were just talking. I was on the phone with him, so she rolled her eyes like, ugh. And I'm guessing he must have heard the ugh, because he was like, who is that? Your fat ass mama? And I'm just thinking, all your baby mamas fat, me included. Your mama ain't that skinny. R.I.P. to his mama now. So what are you talking about? You don't call my mama fat. Me and him kind of had a 1-2 on the phone. And so my mama, she claps back. She gonna clap back. She don't give a, she gonna clap back. And so she was saying, oh, you C-head, all this other kind of stuff, yada, 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 yada. And he was like, you get away from my wife's job. And she was like, my wife? Your wife? What? And he was like, yeah, she's mine. I married her. Yada, yada. And my mom, the way her face looked, y'all, I'll never forget the face. And then what's so, let me tell y'all how God really works in mysterious ways.
Pause for a quick second. Do you know how disrespectful that is? For you to call, that's considered your mother-in-law? For you to call your mother-in-law a fat ass? Do you know how disrespectful that is? To say something like that? That is crazy, bruh. That is the mother of your wife. But again, this is the dealing with a man that seemed like a deadbeat. Don't seem like he's worth much of anything. Worth the ground he walking on. So, I mean, let's just get back into it.
Because she just kind of ran out of my job crying. Back in the day, and I haven't been to an authorized retailer in a long time, but back in the day, especially when I was working in an authorized retailer, we were sitting down at desks, like, to set up new phones, to do everything like that. So she was sitting at my desk, and she just got up and she ran out crying. And then she went and got a newspaper, saw it in the newspaper, and called me. Mind you, I was still staying at home with them. it wasn't after I got married. It wasn't the matrimonial bliss that I thought it was going to be. He was putting my stuff in trash bags when I was there and paying me to go back home to my family because he was dealing with a little married B word. Now, she's not a B word, but I'm just saying, y'all know what I'm saying. He was dealing with a married lady from Texas who would come and spend the night. So he would hide all evidence of me and Cam. We can talk about that too. So he called me. My mom started calling me and I wasn't answering. And so she started calling me from all these. I guess she was using people's phone to call me from different numbers. And so one time I answered and I was like, "What, mama?" And it wasn't my mama, y'all. It was a bitch on the phone who said, "Hey, I was supposed to meet my BD," she said his name, "and he was supposed to give me $600 for a smortion. So since y'all married now, since she was like, since you want to be his wife, since you got to have a title, since you want to be it." Y'all, this is what this girl handled me. How she got my number, I'll never forget. I had a Sony Ericsson. How she got my number, I don't know. But she was like, "So are you going to give me the money or am I having this baby?" And I was just like, I was like, oh my gosh, like what have I really gotten myself into? And y'all, it never stopped. It never stopped, y'all. It never stopped. It never stopped. And I was like, what? So all this is in the midst of my mom finding out and my mom blowing my phone up. So I was just like, I just took the phone, y'all, and I just, I chunked it. I went outside and I chunked it. I'll never forget. I had to get a whole new phone that day. Where y'all want me to go? Like I said, y'all, it never stopped. I kid y'all not. So one of my really good friends at the time, he was cool with her. They were from the same city or whatever. And so he trusted her to let me go out with her. Because he was going out like every night, going to the casino, gambling $3,000 and stuff like that. And also, y'all, he's jealous of me. Anything that I've gotten, he's called it some bullshit or just like one of them type of men. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the old thing. Like I told y'all, like I don't feel nothing. Like, that's why it's easy for me to tell y'all the stuff that I went through because I'm over it. You know, I've had the proper therapy and healing to deal with what I needed to deal with, and it just doesn't bother me. Some of it is even comical. Some of it I just sit up and laugh about because I just can't believe I allow myself to experience some of it. But I'm going to tell y'all the story about his friend. So he trusted her with me, basically. Also, when I was in college, he would pick me up and not let me, like when I was in college, he would stop me from going because he didn't want me to be there. So one time I was in college and I had went outside and they were like, "Oh, are you in trouble?" And I said, "Why?" And they were like, "Oh, it's an Escalade truck out here to pick you up." They said, "Go find you now." We can talk about that too, y'all. And we're going to talk about everything. But in this particular story, I want to tell you guys about the friend. So
she had a chaperone on college campus.
The story really isn't about her. The story is about the night that he gave us money to go out. I had really enlisted my friends to kind of fool with his friends so that I could kind of have a know in what was going on, and also so that he wouldn't be just out like that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if I put my best homegirls on his niggas, maybe I'm thinking maybe his homeboys will fall in love and then he'll want to stay at home a little bit. So we went out, y'all, to this club one night. He had given us money to go because he said that he was having a bachelor party for his homeboy. Which homeboy it was that was getting married, I don't know. Because all the homeboys was goofy and on the same type of time that he was. So I don't know which homeboy it was. I don't remember. I don't even know if I ever knew. So we go out, and I had a 2009 Dodge Charger. And if you guys know what the key looked like back then to a Charger, that key fob was like $300-400. So we go out. We walk into this club, and as soon as I walk in and I'm paying my money, I can feel somebody staring at me. It's a dude that's like, he locked in, he's staring at me. And I'm like, dang, he's staring at me. So it was 3 of us, me and my homegirls. We go in, we pay, and then I drove. Me and one of my homegirls drove, and then another homegirl, she met us there. But we all walked in together. So I was telling him, dang, dude, he burning a hole in my head, ain't it? You know, like, he is really staring. So we go and we sit down, we get in drinks, you know, we checking out the scene. You know how it is when you get somewhere, you just kind of looking around. I'm so dumb and so faithful. I didn't even care about being seen. I knew I was looking good, but I didn't even care about being seen. I didn't want to do the little walk around because I'm like, man, I got my number. You know what I'm saying? He take care of me. He do this, he do that. I know he ain't perfect, but you know what I'm saying? I ain't, these niggas dusty compared to him. That's what I was on, y'all. Like a goofy. Y'all know I'm goofy. In the comments, just type goofy. Goofy.
Thing is, it's not even goofy. You just chose the wrong man. You know, being like that with the right brother isn't a bad thing, but you out here caked up with the neighborhood deadbeat.
Goofy.com, goofy.edu, like goofy.net, goofy.org. I know y'all. I know. Stall me out. I'm your homegirl. So we get to the bar, we start buying, we're getting ready to start buying drinks. He comes over, he start buying our drinks and just buying drinks left or right. We having a good time. Everybody talking, shooting the shit. He keep buying drinks. I think we probably had like an appetizer. He keep buying stuff. So at some point in time, I start to feel mad, uncomfortable. I said, y'all, he didn't spend a lot of money on all 3 of us because he got an interest in me. So I'm like, you know, I told y'all the BD had given us money to go out. So I said, y'all, let's give him some money back. I tried to give him money back. He was like, no, I ain't taking your money, y'all. He was like, I just wanted to show you a good time and, you know, let a real nigga spoil you. And I was like, a real nigga does. You know, that angers him when I said that, y'all. So he stormed off and I was like, ooh, y'all. So it's like 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Maybe 2. I'm going to say closer to 2. And I'm looking for my keys. My car is outside, but my keys are gone. And I'm like, dang, where can my keys be, y'all? I kid you not. The DJ announces on the system that I'm looking for my keys. The club turns the light on. Pause. Let me say all this. I had to go somewhere where he would be comfortable with me going, where he knew people there. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have a conversation with the DJ or anything, but I'm pretty sure the DJ already knew who I was when I got there. So, because I'm like, dang, I ain't used to them in no club turning the lights off to stop, you know, but I was like, okay, it made sense whenever it happened. So the whole entire like club, the people that's working there, the bouncers, the people who, whatever they're looking for, my keys. Somebody said after about 2 hours looking for my keys, it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. After about 2 hours looking for my keys, somebody said, oh boy, oh yeah, he took off with your keys. He took off with your stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, y'all. Oh my gosh. My door to my car was unlocked. Yeah. What I left out is that we had went and got a room before because he told us that he wanted us to be gone overnight. He was like, I'm doing this bachelor party. I need y'all going overnight. So we had already went and got a room. So all of our stuff was in the room. We got ready in the room. All of our stuff was in the room. Well, me and her got ready in the room. The other homegirl met us there. She was already dressed, but because she wasn't staying the night. She was, you know, she's one of those, the other homegirl's one of those girls that she don't care how late it is, she going home. My sister is like that too. She don't care how late it is, she going home. I'm gonna go to sleep. Okay, get me a room. I'm going to sleep. So, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, we don't have a ride, yada yada yada. And you know, I'm at this point in time, I'm panicking. I'm calling him. He answers and he says, you just trying to mess up what I got going on. You trying to throw salt. And he said, I don't know what I can say on here and what I can't, but he's like, you're trying to block and you whatever, you know what I got going on. How dare you, yada, yada, yada. He just, I mean, he rips me a new one. When I tell you my BD, that BD, he's not my BD, but he's somebody BD. He used to be my BD, but he crazy. He's not crazy. He's just old. I really want to take this part out because I probably shouldn't have said that. I don't really give a fuck though either. It's my story. Anyways, so yeah, he paid, you know, like, I'm calling him and I'm just like, man, I'm just trying to tell you I need a ride. Like, you don't have to come get me. You can send somebody to come get me. He was like, no, we all celebrating. You know what I had going on. I knew you was going to do this. Yada, yada, yada. Really going off, y'all. Gaslit me so bad and was so narcissistic about it. I felt goofy for even calling. So me and my friend decided we were going to call the cops. We call the cops. They come trying to figure out what's going on. And thank God. This is why I say God really works in mysterious ways, because one of the guys that came, I went to college with him. His name is Blake. I went to college with him. He was like, what? How about we try to figure this out in the morning? He said, what I'll do is I'll take y'all to y'all's room. And then, you know, any other way that we can assist, we can. But right now, it's nothing we can do. There's no footage. Nobody knows the name of the person who took your keys. And if they do know the name, they're not telling us the name. They're probably not going to tell us anything. So just sleep it off, get up in the morning and try it. But Blake was like, well, aren't you married? Where's your, did you call your husband? And I was like, I was so embarrassed to tell him I did call, but he cussed me out for calling. So whatever. So the cops were so nice, y'all, but I didn't have a ride and I did need to stop at the store. So we stopped at the store. And the cop, like I said, I went to college with him. He was so kind to me. He was even kind in college, so I never had any type of issues or anything with him. But he took us to the store. We get to the store, and one of the dudes who was the BBD best friend was at the store getting some like Rellos or something like that, and he was like, oh, you stranded for real? And I said, yeah, y'all thought I was lying. I'm real deal stranded. Why else would I be with cops? So I'm telling him, like, yeah, I real deal was stranded. And y'all didn't care nothing about me being stranded. It's practically a whole new day. So I'm finna go get some shut eye. Please tell my husband to call me is what I said. And he was like, yeah, I'm finna tell him. He didn't offer. I should have known something when he didn't offer to say, well, come on back to the house or nothing like that. Which it really wasn't his place to tell me that. But, yeah. So we got some snacks and got some stuff. And then we went to the room. The other homegirl, she left and went back. Remember I told y'all she wasn't staying, so she left and went back. Also, this wig is from Pizzazz Wig. I got it off Amazon because I was not finna wait 3 days. I needed it the next day, okay? And I needed to easily be able to return it in case something happened. I ain't finessed it yet, so just relax. But, yeah, so the next day we call the Dodge dealership, and they were like, yeah, it was Saturday because we had went out on a Friday, and it was Saturday, and they were like, we really don't have that person who would normally do that. He's not here. So we ended up calling like a local locksmith. He was like, oh yeah, I can do that for sure. And he told us how much it would be. And so he got there, did everything he was supposed to do, because the car, obviously the whole time, the car was still at the club. So he did everything with the key, and then him and my other homegirl, the one who didn't leave, he was kind of sweet on her. So she went and talked to him. I guess she must have made it seem like it was for her. I don't know what she promised. I don't know. But he was like, okay, it'll be $92. So instead of me having to spend the rest of the money that I had, it was only $92. And honestly, she went in half with me on that. I remember that. I'll never forget that. Because I remember thinking, dang, you didn't even have to. But I was grateful that she did. I wasn't hurting for money back then or anything because, like I said, he really did he was a provider. I'll give him that. But at the same time, I was thinking, yeah, this went too far. I'm thinking of a way that I can try to get myself in a place of preparedness to leave, because what? No. You wouldn't let me come home? Really, that's just really how it went. So, y'all, I get home the next day. After everything with the key and getting situated and getting cleaned up and me and my homegirl going to eat, I probably said I made it home around 1 o'clock. Or I made it to his home technically around 1 o'clock. I get there. When I tell y'all this man embraced me, like, he don't even show love like that, but he embraced me and was like, my homeboy said, I'm not using the name, y'all, because some of these people haven't done anything to me. And I'm not even telling a story now because he's done something to me. It's, my threads post that I made went viral, and I told y'all I would give y'all story time, and here it is. And this is not only my truth, but this is the truth, so I'm not going to not tell my story because you mad or you feel however you feel, whatever. So anyways, he was like, yeah, such and such said they saw you at the store. You was with a police officer and all this other kind of stuff. So you was real deal stranded. I said, yeah, I was stranded, but I don't want to talk about it because you didn't give a flying flip about coming to get me, coming to make sure I was straight, any of that. And so he had like some feathers or something on him, something in his hair, because he had locks at the time. He had something in his hair, and I was looking like, and I guess he could see me kind of looking at the top of him like that, like, what is that? And he was like, man, you don't want to know the night I had. And I said, okay, because you always make something about you. So what? Go ahead and make this about you. He was like, man, we had this bachelor party. I'm thinking I'm finna really get me a bunch of pussy. I couldn't even fuck these bitches was on their period. That's what he told me, y'all. That he didn't come get me because he thought he was finna get him some from those girls, and they ended up being on their period and he could not fuck them.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't this still his wife? Isn't that still... Boy, oh boy.
And that he should have just went ahead and came and got me. That's what he told me. What y'all want to know next? What questions y'all have? Where y'all want me to keep telling a different story? What y'all want? Y'all got to communicate with me.
Yeah, guys, this is pretty crazy. It seems like she just got with a dude that just wasn't worth anything. And especially at a young age, that's the worst thing that you could do as a woman. Get with a man that isn't worth anything at a young age. You're really supposed to use your youth to get with a man that has a lot of value and has a lot of substance. Because generally speaking, that's when you're the most attractive, But, shit, she went and got with a nigga that wasn't worth not a damn thing, not a dime, But, hey, some sisters, they gotta learn the hard way. But thank you for tuning in for another Clocked Out Conversation. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. And I will see you in the next one. Peace.